we have with us the Subaru Crosstrek. Let's do a review. The Subaru Crosstrek is what we used to know as the XV. Now using the new name for globalization, the Crosstrek is still based on the Impreza and gets a whole new exterior and interior, and many other enhancements. This one we have is the entry-level 2024 Subaru Crosstrek 2.0 IL EyeSight, and it's priced at 1,998,000 Philippine pesos. Looking at the exterior, this new Crosstrek is more rugged, sleeker, and a lot more aggressive compared to the XV. Whether you get this or the top spec IS, nothing much differs. In front, this variant gets a gloss black front grille flanked by LED headlights with halogen park lights and halogen DRLs on the bumper. Yes, unfortunately, no LED DRLs here, like almost every other vehicle on the market today. You have to get the IS for those. The side profile remains very similar to the previous generation, but with a more unique design for the black plastic body cladding, which really shows the rugged nature of this vehicle. The wheels on this variant are blacked out 17 inches wrapped in Yokohama Geolandar tires, which I personally really like, and the smaller size will also give us a slightly better ride. Up top, we have a rugged looking set of roof rails. Towards the back, it's a bit simple with the LED taillights positioned up high, and it's also sportier with the faux diffuser and plenty of black cladding. I'd also like to add that the Sunblaze Pearl exterior color is one of my new favorites. One thing you'll notice here is that at its price, it only gets a manual tailgate. Opening it does reveal a decent amount of space, as you can see with all my stuff over here. Loading height is a bit too high, and space is limited for taller items, as you can see as well. Thankfully, it works, but it's not the biggest. And now we're inside the Subaru Crosstrek, and as you can see here, if you're very familiar with other Subaru models, this should be familiar to you as well because it looks basically the same as other Subaru models. So you have here the portrait touchscreen, everything, steering wheel, everything looks the same. But what I do have to say is that materials have been downgraded compared to the previous XV. So as you can see here, we have hard touch plastics, but it does feel pretty good. It feels pretty solid. It just doesn't look good because of the gray color finish over here. Then we have some soft touch materials on here on the top, and then we have more hard touch plastic. So these all used to be soft touch in the XV. Same here in the door panel, we now have hard touch plastics, and then this fabric over here, which doesn't feel the best. It kind of feels rough, and I'm not really a fan of that. And the gray color does make it look a bit dirty. Then we also have that vinyl armrest over here, so that also feels kind of cheap. It reminds me of Mitsubishi L300, so that's not exactly a really luxurious car, that's a utility vehicle, and that's what this reminds me of. Same here in the center armrest, we have a vinyl material, which doesn't feel the best. But at least we do still have that very nice Subaru steering wheel, which we see in every other model. Again, like I mentioned, and we still have a full set of controls here on the left for our audio controls, and then our instrument cluster, and on the right, our controls for the EyeSight 4.0 system. So we have adaptive cruise control, the lane centering, and also our driving modes over there. And also the steering wheel is leather wrapped with white or gray contrast stitching, which looks very nice. Then our horn is our typical Japanese car horn, which I personally like how this one sounds. Also, the steering wheel is tilt and telescopic adjustable, so lots of adjustment over there, very good in that regard. Then our instrument cluster is our standard analog gauges. Most cars now have a fully digital or half digital cluster. This one still makes do with an old school setup, which I personally also really like because it just looks good. It's very simple, and that I like that. And like I mentioned, we have a control on the steering wheel, so you can check out various information about the vehicle in that small screen. Then here again in the center, we have our portrait touchscreen. It's 14 inches if I'm not mistaken, and like in every other Subaru, it's very easy to use. So I don't really like portrait touchscreens, but this one I really like, and it's also very responsive. It's very simple to use. It's a lot better than I expected. And then everything that you need to know about the vehicle, everything that you want to see is over here. We also have wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. Then another thing I like about this is that we still have volume knob, tuning knob, and some buttons for our climate control. The other controls though for the aircon are here in the screen already, so just tap the temperature area and everything pops out over there. At least they're very easy to use. And then moving down, we have a USB port, USB-A, USB-C, and an auxiliary port. I'm surprised this still has that. Then below we have a wireless phone charger. And then here we have our traditional gear shifter, so very simple, just our normal shifter. Then put it in reverse, and the screen will show you your reverse camera. It's not the best right now. It's not really HD, but it does work really well and has guidance lines as well. Then here, our electronic parking brake auto hold is here on the screen, so just go to the car settings, it's already there. Thankfully, it's that simple. Then we have a coin holder, 2 cup holders, 12-volt power outlet, and again, like I mentioned, center armrest with a decent amount of storage underneath. And then for the seats of this car, we have these fabric seats. So for the price of this vehicle, we only have fabric seats, and they're both manually adjustable for both front seats. So that's unfortunate, but the seats are very comfortable, they're very supportive. Subaru has done a very good job in designing these seats. Just the material and the adjustment could have been better. And now we're at the back of the Crosstrek, and there's nothing here. So yeah, it's as basic as it gets back here. The seats, they're very comfortable. The material is still the fabric material, same color as in front, so thankfully they're the same, but again, doesn't feel the best. The material, it feels kind of cheap. And same goes for the door panel, which has been downgraded to a fully hard touch plastic design. So we have this gray hard touch plastic. It's very hollow, doesn't feel the best, and it's also very scratchy. In fact, it's already scratched up over here, so that's also unfortunate. Then we have that same Mitsubishi L300 like armrest over here. No aircon vents. We have no USB ports as well. There's a area there where it could have been, but it's not. There also one pocket on the side, on the passenger side rather, and yeah, that's it. So the only good thing here is that it's really comfortable, and space is pretty decent for someone my height of 5 feet and 7 inches tall. So leg room, foot room, knee room, head room is all pretty good back here. Oh, and also no center armrest over here. And now we're driving the Subaru Crosstrek, and this is actually not my first time to drive this. I've already driven this during the media drive a few months ago, and I've also driven the previous generation, the XV, but only for a limited amount of time. And I must say that Subaru has really done a lot to improve how this drives, and that's the best thing about it actually. It may not be the best in terms of interior quality, material finish for its price, but it drives really, really good. Let's start by talking about the engine. So this still gets the same engine as before. It's a 2-liter flat 4 boxer engine, and that produces the same amount of power and torque as well. It's 156 horsepower and 196 Newton meters of torque paired to a Lineartronic CVT. And like I said, driving this is the best thing about it because it's just really good overall. That's just really what I have to say. It's not the fastest car out there, it's not the quickest as well, but it will get you there to your destination really, really well. So once you put your foot on the pedal, it's a very responsive engine. So the power instantly comes in. Doesn't feel that much again, but it is very smooth. That's what's important to me. It's very comfortable to drive. And most people don't like CVTs. I've said this before, Subaru has one of the best CVTs. The Lineartronic CVT is a really good transmission. As its name says, it is very linear in its performance. So just put your foot down and the car just keeps going really. You don't feel like you're losing out. Doesn't lose steam very quickly. It just goes and goes. So let's give that a quick try on this open road. And you can probably hear that it just keeps going. It's not the fastest again, but it goes. If you heard that there's really none of that rubber bandy effect which most CVTs have. This one is really linear in its tuning. Handling is another good thing about the Crosstrek, and in general any Subaru vehicle, because of the symmetrical all-wheel drive system. So the vehicle remains very planted, especially in tighter corners. If you don't really plan to slow down, it will feel very stable. You will feel very confident while driving this car. Steering itself is also very light, but it's also decently weighted for you to have a little bit more fun, for it to give you a little bit more feedback than usual. And like I mentioned, in the curbs, it's very planted. You won't feel nauseous, you won't feel bouncy. It's just a very nicely tuned suspension as well. And that brings us to ride quality, because this has a very, very good suspension. It takes the bumps, it absorbs all the bumps really well. It's very smooth, but at the same time, it's not bouncy at all. It's very well damped, and it just makes a very good overall experience. So you combine that with how this drives, it's just really comfortable overall. And if you do want to have fun you always have that sport mode over here. We have the paddle shifters again, and you can always put your foot down and the vehicle will respond instantly. And yeah, sounds really good, feels really good. And also, since we have the boxer engine, that engine of course sounds really nice as well. And to have a comfortable ride, of course, we need to have a very good NVH insulation. So road noise is very well insulated in this vehicle. It's there, it's not too loud, but it is there. It's not bothersome at all. Wind noise is non-existent. The car is very aerodynamic, I guess. And harshness, again, like I mentioned earlier, ride quality is quite excellent. Also, I'll add that despite the material quality not feeling very good, there are no unnecessary rattles. There's nothing that sounds really bad inside this vehicle. Everything is well built. And fuel economy is one of this vehicle's strong points because it does get very good numbers both in the city and on the highway. Inside the city, we're able to achieve 10 kilometers per liter despite heavy traffic conditions. So that surprised me. That's very good because its rivals will do about the same, but they have more powerful engines, more torque, more horsepower, and usually these engines with lower outputs these days will tend to make you use more fuel, but that is not the case here. Same goes on the highway. It's pretty good. It's not the best in the segment because it's not the most powerful engine again, but it does get a decent 16 kilometers per liter, which is not bad. It's already good for what it is. And lastly, before we end, of course, this has the full suite of Subaru's EyeSight. This time it's the 4.0 version already, and really it's just one of the best advanced driver assist systems you can get in the industry. So it's one of the best, if not the best. So the adaptive cruise control really works very well. It has its adjustment settings, so you can adjust how much you want to accelerate and how sensitive it is basically. And not only that, it does a very good job of following the lane markings on the road. The steering doesn't feel like it's gonna bring you out of your lane. It just does a really good job of everything. And despite the lack of lane markings in some areas, it will be able to follow the vehicle in front of you. In fact, earlier while I was driving this, I tried it out and it actually avoided a pothole for me because the vehicle in front avoided the pothole and the area also had no lane markings. And yeah, just overall, like what I told you earlier when we began driving, is that it may not have the best materials inside, it may not have the most features for its price, but the driving experience more than makes up for it because this just really drives so well. It's very comfortable, it's sporty when you want it to be, and yeah, just overall, I really like how this drives. The Subaru Crosstrek is a good product. Design, good. Driving, good. Technology, good. Honestly though, it's a bit pricey for what it lacks, showing that the very small price jump to the IS variant is very much worth it. It's a great car, but if it was priced way lower, then it would be perfect. It could be better, but it's still a very good choice.